How's it going, guys? It's K Cars, and in this video I wanted to give you guys a driving review of my lifted Jeep Cherokee XJ. If you guys are new to the channel, this is my 2001 Jeep Cherokee XJ. I got it with 103,000 miles on it. It now has 105,000, and I recently just got a lift kit installed on this thing. So just for context, this is the Rusty's Off-Road 3-inch advanced lift kit with 31-inch mud tires, and those are the Pro Comp Extreme MT2 31 by 10.5 on the Pro Comp Series 51 wheels, which are 15 by 8 with a 3.75 back spacing. I wanted to give you guys kind of like a review on how it drives on the road, because you know, this is my daily driver, so I am going to be driving it mostly on road. That was something that's pretty important to me, is just the on-road drivability. Now, whenever I did get the lift kit installed, we did have to trim the bumper end caps in the front just a little bit so the tires wouldn't rub. But other than that, it's not terrible. It still does rub the mud flaps just a little bit whenever I turn, like a lot, or if I'm going over a bump while turning at the same time. So that's the only time that it rubs, but it only rubs the mud flaps now since we trimmed the bumper end caps. Getting on the open road here, obviously the acceleration isn't going to be that great. It's a Jeep, so it's not made to accelerate fast. But first thing that you guys might be able to hear on video is maybe slight vibrations. So of course, when you lift a Jeep, one thing you have to consider is a slip yoke eliminator. We got this nice dually coming up here, crazy fast. Nice. All right, but anyways, slip yoke eliminator is probably something that I'm gonna have to do in the future. I'm not sure if you guys can hear the vibrations at all, but it was suggested to me that I do go ahead and get the slip yoke eliminator instead of dropping the transfer case, just because doing the slip yoke eliminator is just the right way to do it. It's just better, it's more reliable, it's just the right way to fix the issue. So that's probably going to be the next step for this Jeep. And of course, something else that I noticed is the sound that comes from the tires. So obviously mud tires are going to be a lot louder than just regular like all-season tires. That's something to be expected, but you know, I'm not sure how well this is coming out on video, but you can kind of hear like the slight humming of the mud tires right now. And we got some bumps coming up here, so you guys will be able to see. You know, it's handling bumps pretty well. So that's another thing I wanted to talk about, is how does it actually like handle bumps. And I will say it is a little bit more stiff than the stock suspension, but it's really not too bad. The rear is a little bit more stiff than the front. It kind of like bounces more because it's more stiff, so of course it's just going to bounce instead of just like softly compressed, I guess. But it's really not too bad when comparing it to stock. Now for the front, there was an option to get heavy duty coil springs, which is useful if you're planning on getting like a heavy duty bumper for the front, but I'm probably not going to be doing that, so I just got the standard coil springs on the front. So the ride really isn't too bad when you consider like everything, I guess. So something else that I wanted to mention is like how it drives, like how it feels on the road. And I will say it is a little bit more difficult to keep it straight, like going in line. I did get it aligned right after getting the lift kit installed and everything, so that's not the issue, but it's really not a problem at all. It's just at higher speeds with the lift kit plus the bigger tires, it all adds up, and it kind of just feels like it floats around the road, which is pretty usual for Jeeps, I would say. All right, so as you guys can see right now, we're going 45 miles an hour, and there's no like vibrations or any kind of shaking at all. Now here's what I mean by like how the Jeep floats around. As you guys can see, I'm constantly having to adjust the steering wheel because it like, I don't know how to explain it, but that's the best way that I can explain it, is that it just like floats around the road, I guess. But it's really not an issue at all. Like, it's not too much different from when it was stock. Not a big issue, just have to get used to it. I'm going around this turn, not rubbing at all because I'm not turning too hard, but it handled it just fine, no issues at all. So going around turns, it feels really comfortable. Nice JK right there. Of course, they're not going to wave because it's not a Wrangler. But yeah, going around like all these potholes and everything, I haven't experienced any kind of death wobble. I'm not really sure if that only happens on certain size lifts, but I haven't experienced any kind of like wobbling or anything like that, which I know it's pretty common for Jeeps to have death wobble, but I think it's more common in the Wranglers and not really in the Cherokees. Now, something else that you guys might be wondering is the fuel economy. I didn't get this Jeep for fuel economy, and I don't think anybody would get a Jeep for the fuel economy, because that probably isn't a good idea if you're just looking for like a practical daily driver that you're going to be driving every day and you need good fuel economy. I've never calculated the fuel economy in this Jeep, but I mean, it's not really that great, which it's not made to be good. It's made to go off-road and have fun in. So I'm not really complaining about that. But if that's something that you're worried about, then there's your answer. It's not great, but oh well, it's a Jeep. We did get extended brake lines with this lift kit, and whenever they installed them, actually, I think the front passenger side, like the whole line busted. So he just ended up replacing the whole line instead of just putting the extensions on. So we do have extended brake lines for the front and rear. So all the brake lines are extended to accommodate for the longer length that they're gonna need with the lift kit, of course. Now, I mean, the brakes feel completely normal, so no problems there. And then here you guys will see going over this bump what it's like. So, you know, it's so not too bad. It is a little bit more stiff than stock, but it's nothing terrible, I guess. I would say if I was really nitpicking at this Jeep, I would say my biggest concern with this lift kit is just the fact that it rubs the mud flaps whenever I turn really hard, or if I'm going over a bump while turning at the same time. So I mean, that's the only negative I can think of with lifting a Jeep. All the other issues really aren't that bad, so can't really complain about anything else. I haven't tried to drive this Jeep on the highway yet. I'm assuming it's not going to be that great. And there you guys can see using the brakes, and it came to a complete stop without any problems going downhill. We're about to take this turn right here, obviously not going fast at all, but you guys can see no rubbing. I'm not turning hard enough for it to rub, but we got some nice bumps coming up here. You guys can see how like stiff it is, how bouncy it might be. I mean, I'm really not complaining about this stuff because it's a Jeep. It's not supposed to be comfortable, but I'm kind of just pointing out some things that you guys would want to know before lifting your Jeep if you are thinking of doing that. We got a nice bump right here as well. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I mean, just like normal. It's really not that different from stock, if I'm being honest, but it is a little bit more stiff, especially in the rear. I did go ahead and get full leaf springs for the rear, and it's not an add-a-leaf kit, just because the stock leaf springs that were on this Jeep were completely like flat. They were really saggy, so I went ahead and just replaced the whole thing. So something else that I wanted to talk about is the steering of the Jeep. Now, I was kind of expecting it to be a little bit heavier, like the steering to be a little bit heavier after getting those 31-inch mud tires, but it's really not that big of a difference. I did upgrade the steering stabilizer as well with the lift kit, so that probably helped a little bit. The steering really isn't that much heavier, if at all. I didn't really notice a difference. I still have to get the track bar replaced in this thing because for some reason Rusty's didn't include it in the kit whenever they sent it out at first. So still waiting for that. Need to get that replaced as well. It's going to be an adjustable track bar that comes standard with their 3-inch advanced lift kit. We're going up this hill, and to be honest, it's really not that big of a difference when it comes to like acceleration or power. And you know, going up hills really shows that how it's, you know, not different at all. But we might be getting into some snow up here whenever we get up to the peak at the top. And it's turning pretty hard on that turn, and we didn't rub anything, so that's good. It's usually only whenever I go over like bumps while turning, or if I turn full lock. So it's the only downside that I can think of with lifting this thing. But of course, those mud flaps are really easy to take off, so if I really wanted to, I could just take those off. But I like how they look, so I'll probably just keep them on and deal with the rubbing. Another thing that I noticed is that whenever you're driving really slow or like just starting out driving, then you can definitely feel the tread in the tires. It kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, but you can feel that they are mud tires. Like you can feel how you're going over each individual tread because the tires are just like so deep. The tread is so deep in them because they are mud tires. Now I'm thinking whenever I do need to replace these tires, I might just go ahead and get the all seasons from Pro Comp. I think these mud tires might be a little bit too aggressive for what I'm doing. Like I said, this is my daily driver. This isn't like my mud bogger or anything like that. I'm not going to be doing anything crazy with this Jeep. So I think maybe all seasons would look a little bit better for this Jeep. I definitely love the aggressive look of the mud tires that I have on here, but I don't know, I just don't really need mud tires is what I'm trying to say. But as you guys see, we are currently not on a paved road right now, just going through a few puddles right here. And yeah, it's handling the bumps just fine. We got a little bit of snow coming up right here, going up this hill. not going to be a problem with these mud tires, of course. I stay in 2-wheel drive. But yeah, if you guys want to see like my snowstorm video, make sure to check out my channel, as well as some off-roading videos. I did take this Jeep off-roading when it was completely stock, as well as through a huge snowstorm when it was stock as well. I have those videos on my channel if you guys want to go check those out. I think my snowstorm video was probably one of my favorite videos that I've ever filmed. So definitely go check that one out. It was a lot of fun. We probably had like half a foot, which of course isn't anything crazy, but it was still a lot of fun to see what this Jeep could do completely stock on all-season tires. Yeah, this thing drives great on and off-road. The only kind of driving that I don't feel like too great about is like highway speeds. I know a lot of people say that these things handle really good on the highways, but for some reason I just don't feel like that. When it was stock, maybe, but right now how it is, like how it floats around, I don't think it's the best highway driver. It's definitely possible to drive it on the highway. All right guys, so we're gonna be going around this turn right here, and I can say with like 90% certainty that we're gonna rub the mud flaps. So I'm gonna see if I can get it on video for you guys. It might be a little bit more intense on the passenger side, but we'll see if it rubs the driver's side here. So sorry about the wind noise. It is pretty windy today. Yeah, so it didn't really rub too much, but I think the passenger side did rub a little bit more. I'll just do another test here. You guys will be able to hear it. Huh, for some reason it's not rubbing now. That's weird. But yeah, it would usually rub whenever you turn full lock like that. Okay, so right here you guys can see we did have to trim the bumper end cap right down here so it wouldn't rub on this side. But over here is the mud flap on the passenger side. You guys can see that's where it's rubbing on full lock. So that's the only issue, like I said. But yeah guys, I'm really happy with how this lift kit turned out. I think it looks really good. Lifted 3 inches on those 31-inch mud tires. I think the front is probably my favorite angle of this Jeep, especially with those LED headlights right there. We'll be doing a whole in-depth review of the lift kit as well as the wheels and tires, giving you guys like all the part numbers, prices for everything. So definitely subscribe so you don't miss that video. I'm also going to be filming like a first impressions video of what I think of the lift kit, a little bit more in depth than just like a on-road driving review. Whenever you do modify a car, there's more things that are likely to go wrong, so you just have to be prepared for that. Like I said, not every Jeep needs a slip yoke eliminator after getting it lifted, but in my specific case, I do have some slight driveline vibrations, so I think the next step for this Jeep is going to be a slip yoke eliminator to eliminate those vibrations. And after that, of course, I need to get rid of all the rust. I'm probably just going to go ahead and replace all the body panels that are rusted. So obviously the rockers and also the rear lower quarter panels, which are right behind those plastic bumper end caps. But yeah, overall, I really do like this lift kit. My only issue is that the tires rub a little bit on the mud flaps on the front, but that can easily be solved by just taking off those mud flaps. But in my opinion, I do like how the Jeep looks with the mud flaps on it, so I'm probably just going to keep them on. If you guys have any questions or video suggestions for videos you'd like to see in the future, make sure to drop those down in the comments below. And if you guys liked this video or found it entertaining, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.